Welcome back to the Power Public YouTube channel. Today's video is a question from the interwebs. So thanks to all those guys that are giving us their feedback in the comments below, subscribing and turning on those pesky notifications. We really appreciate it. Today's video, we're going to be talking about torsion bars, the rigidity, the different ones available, how to put them in, how to get them out. Now the Tony Karts do come with the standard front bar, which is a flat one, and it's got its own special clamps, and then you can change to an aftermarket round bar with round bar clamps too, which is really popular, especially the gold ones. But more on that later. I'm going to explain to you the differences between the front bars. So this is the standard front torsion bar that will come on your Tony Kart, and as you can see, this clamp here is oval shaped, as opposed to the round style which you can get on the aftermarket bars. So to remove and install the front torsion bar, it's as simple as sliding the bar clamps onto the chassis rails. Now I keep both of them loose to start with, so that what happens is if one of them's tight, you can actually pull the bar one direction and make it really hard to get the second clamp on. And you can push them all the way to the home position and then simply do up the 4 screws. So as you can see, the bar is in the vertical position. Now this is the stiffest setup with the standard bar, but you can change it simply by loosening the 4 screws again and then rotating the bar and the clamps to either the 45 position, and the softest setting is when it's horizontal. And to remove the bar, you simply slide the clamps back off the torsion bar and off the chassis rails, and you're good to go. So now, you guys might be at home thinking, Des, what the hell is all these torsion bars about anyway? Now the purpose of the torsion bar is actually to stiffen the front of the go-karter to stop it from flexing as you're going through the corners. So it changes the sort of feeling of the kart and also its load carrying capabilities. So if you turn the wheel going through super fast corners, the kart's got a tendency to flex because of the corner forces, so that you might want to change the rigidity of the frame to stop it from bending so much because you're going through those corners so fast. So through the very fast corners, the purpose of the front torsion bar is to stop the kart from flexing uncontrollably. So a lot of these things are driver preferential. So an example of that is if you're going through a corner and the kart's flexing too much, it may keep the rear wheel on the ground for too long and you start to get some understeer. And you go, oh Des, well, okay, how do I get around that? Well, by adding the front bar when the track conditions start to get a little bit sticky, you can sort of counter some of that understeer by adding a front bar. Now the kart will feel a little bit heavier to drive because you're actually going to be cranking a lot more flex through the kart with your hands. So instead of the front of the kart, which is generally pretty soft, flexing as you turn the steering wheel, the rear of the kart, its rear wheel is going to come up off the ground. The front bars in that regard are a little bit of an amplifier. So whatever geometry you're running on the front end, when you add a front bar, it should amplify those settings to some degree. Now as you can see on the bench, we've got laid out all the different bar options for the Tony Kart. And these are the round bar clamps. You'll need to get yourself a set of those. They don't come with the kart from the factory. This is the factory bar and the factory bar clamps. So a set of these, and then these are the 3 tuning bars. We've got the gold bar, which is the most common that we see used here in Queensland. It's the 2mm and that's the stiffest, followed by the grey, and that's a 1.5mm, and then the chrome is the thinnest at 1mm. Now they are very subtle, the differences between all 3 of these. So if you don't really want to spend heaps of money and get all the different bars, you can probably just get yourself this guy, but realistically in the scheme of things, they're relatively priced. As you can see, this is the standard bar and the standard bar clamp, and like we mentioned earlier, you can run it in the vertical or the stiff position, or varying degrees all the way over to the horizontal, which is the softest setting. So the question I get asked the most is, when do you use the front bar? And I like to use it personally when the track is very sticky, i.e. like the championship races. Otherwise when it's really raining heavily and I've got the wet weather tyres on, even when I've got the slicks on and I'm caught out on the track and say I didn't have any wets, I'll be throwing the front bar in for that as well. And then you have the varying degrees of tuning that you can use, whether you want to have the full stiffness of the gold bar or going back to one of the softer bar options. Now what I would suggest is, if you are new and you don't really have a great understanding of these things, is go to the track and say you might start with this bar and just put it in, take it out. Put it in, take it out, because it's going to affect you and your car at your track differently than it does to me. But once you've got that understanding in your mind, you'll know when to deploy the stiffer rigidity of the frame over changing maybe say the cast of the cam bar or the wheel width. Another point worthy of mention is when you add a front bar, it's not a cure-all. So when I've put them in before myself, I found that it's helped going through very fast corners where there's a lot of load on the frame, but then on a complex of corners at one of the local tracks at Toowoomba, where we're going relatively slowly and it's a right, left, right combination onto the straight, I found that through the left-hand corner, that with the bar in, it would start to sort of push wide. And it's a slower corner where the cart's not really loading that tyre. So the gain I'd get through the faster corners, I was losing going onto the corner onto the straight. So it really would have been a case of, oh, okay, I'm going to need to go out with a competitor to see if the loss at the slow corner was greater than the gain at the fast corner or vice versa. And then I'd choose whether I take the bar out and drive around the problem or leave the bar in and drive around the problem that the bar created. Now, once you are an expert of front torsion bars and chassis setups, you can throw the front bars in and combo it with your caster camber, wheel change, and it's not uncommon for us at, say, some of the bigger events to really make a combo of some negative camber, wider go-kart, adding the front bar, because the drivers know what to look for when they hit the track. Now, if you guys are new and you don't really have that experience just yet, maybe just stick with the one change at a time, like the bar in, the bar out, the bar in, and the bar out on the different times of the day, and that will give you a great picture of when to use the front torsion bar and when not to use it. So in conclusion, the front torsion bars are a great tuning tool. I like to use them in the wet or in the very hot and sticky conditions, and then varying degrees in between. I hope that's not too vague for you guys. Now, if you do have any more questions on go-karting, especially Tony karts, please leave it in the comment section below. And also too, if you haven't turned on those pesky notifications, do that right now and hit the subscribe button, because after all, it's free. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.